Women of the Channel Leadership Network. I'm Jackie Rives, your community leader, and welcome to another Woman of the Week. This week, I have a very active community member joining me, and I'm so excited to get to know her a little bit better. Akila Ganapathy, Global Head Service Partner Program with Google Cloud. Hi, Akila. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Hi, Jackie. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Really appreciate it.
Well, I am so excited to get to know you better. So let's jump into those icebreaker questions. Where do you live and where did you grow up, if that's different?
I live in San Jose, California. I'm originally from Coimbatore, which is a small city in South India. After my undergraduate degree there, I moved to Bangalore for a few years before immigrating to the US, and a large telecom company hired me from their offshore development center in Bangalore. I loved it here, so I never went back.
I can't imagine why. Yeah, like California. Anytime somebody says California, I'm like, perfect weather. So envious.
Well,
Okay.
I was originally I moved to North Carolina. So only 10 years ago, I moved to California. So yeah, it's hard to leave California.
Yeah, I bet. Okay. What is a little known fact about you that you don't mind sharing with just a few of our friends here?
Gosh, I guess I just mentioned this to you before. I'm a very forced extrovert, which people don't think is true because once I get comfortable with people, then I'm okay, or I'm really trying hard to be comfortable. But at the end of the day, even after a conference, I have to go back and recharge. I run out of battery.
Yeah, I can relate to that. That's what we were just talking about earlier. Yeah, I mean, I would not have guessed that about you, especially because you're so active in the community, and our exchanges have always, you always come across not at all uncomfortable or willing to dive in or comment or share that information. So I'm so glad that you shared that because I know that's something that will resonate with our community members.
Thank you. I fake it well.
Awesome. All right. So let's dive into your professional career. Have you ever questioned your abilities or qualifications? And if so, how did you kind of deal with that?
I'm not immune to imposter syndrome. It mostly happens when I'm transitioning to a new role. You know, this feeling of self doubt and inadequacy. I think I bring it on myself intentionally because I believe in continuous learning, and learning happens when I'm pushed out of my comfort zone. I get bored and become restless when I'm not actively expanding my knowledge or adding value. So when I look for a new role, I try to strike a 60-40 or 70-30 split where 60% or 70% of my time I'm applying my experience to achieve tangible outcomes, and 40% or 30% is on acquiring new skills or knowledge. So as a result, I find myself very often in uncharted waters. But over time, I've learned to deal with it because as you get many years under your belt, it gets easier. So I've realized that knowledge is power. So the only way to overcome imposter syndrome is to prove to yourself more than anyone else that you can do it. So I have a strategy that for my first 30 to 60 days in any new position, I'm proactively meeting with colleagues, stakeholders, or other leaders in order to understand what is a company culture, what's their expectation of my role, how do they envision interacting with me, what are the key relationships that I need to build in order to be successful, and what does success look like. So simultaneously, I prioritize some quick wins so that I can demonstrate my capabilities to myself as well as building trust. And it also helps bolster my confidence, overcoming any feelings of self doubt.
I love the analytical brain that you have and the formula you just gave to others who may be struggling. And also kind of like giving some grace and acceptance in like how you look for a new role in finding that role that's going to kind of stretch your skills. I absolutely loved your answer. Um, so how do you continue to grow and develop as a leader?
Growth is a journey. It's not a destination by any means. So it requires consistent effort. So I have kind of a three-pronged approach. I would say one is introspection. I first need to understand what my strengths are. and identify what are my areas of improvement. So I analyze past experiences. Maybe it's a failed project or a less than ideal conversation. What could have gone better? What could I have done better? So I actively seek feedback, whose opinions I value and respect. And it's important to be vulnerable because very often we can let our egos get in the way. So we have to also establish some psychological safety so they feel, open to sharing their feedback. And sometimes we also have positive blind spots, right? We don't realize what others may perceive as strengths, as our strengths. So that is my
Yeah.
first step, understanding strengths and areas of improvement. The second piece is seeking mentors. Now, this doesn't necessarily have to be a formal mentor relationship. You can draw inspiration from just about anyone. You can learn anything as long as you are in a listen mode from anyone that you meet. So I've drawn inspirations from role models that I had while growing up, people I admire whose leadership qualities I want to emulate. It could be a boss or it could be somebody else that you watched in action. So I learn equally from people that I respect, as well as from those that I don't. What not to do from those that I don't. So, and I also follow some thought leaders, Brené Brown, Adam Grant come to mind, that give me further insights into how I can evolve as a leader. The third piece is seeking out opportunities, leadership opportunities. It could be at work or it could be outside of work. So learning by doing is the best form of learning. So I'm a very, I learn from doing things. So I coached a team of elementary school kids for 6 years for the Global Odyssey of the Mind competition. And I learned such invaluable lessons on patience and how simplifying complex concepts that can be understood by 6-year-olds, how difficult that is. So, I learned that from that. And I've sought out roles that help me grow as a people leader. I've also sought out roles that help me with better decision making. I've sought out mentoring opportunities. So, growing and developing as a leader is an ongoing process and it requires the self reflection, continuous learning, intentional action, right? And I believe we are all works in progress, and I'm constantly trying to
Mhm.
become a better version of myself.
Ah, I love your answer. I also love that you actually pointed out that, we don't have to wait internally in our career to kind of stretch those leadership roles, that we can actually, do some volunteer opportunities or, outside of our work to use those as skills-based learning opportunities as well.
Mhm.
Oh, I love that. Okay. All right. Let's pivot to what are some patterns you've noticed over the years about women at work and things that maybe we could be doing better to advance in our careers?
I love this question, quite honestly. So, as women in the workforce, I think we've made some significant strides since I began my career. But I do still see some patterns that I believe are potentially holding us back. One of them is something that I already mentioned. I think there is a tendency among women to only pursue job opportunities where their experience perfectly matches the job rec. So, in my view, you get true job satisfaction and motivation from continuous learning and growth, which often happens when you're stretching yourself and taking on something that challenges you, that you don't have the perfect experience with. So, which is why I embrace my 60-40-70-30 fit, where I can not only contribute my existing experience to the company, but I can also expand on my expertise and build a stronger career portfolio. So, that's number one. The second piece that I see, and I'm guilty of this myself, is we tend to shoulder a majority of the family responsibilities. And I think it's fueled by our desire for things to be done a certain way, our way, right? And I'm so guilty of this. I've had to learn to let go by delegating tasks to family members or outsourcing where possible when you're not interested in doing something, then we can free up time that we can use for self-care or pursue opportunities that would have otherwise not been possible because we're so full trying to do it all, right? So I think that's the second pattern that I've seen. The third I've seen also is we have a hesitancy to self-promote. I think we assume that our work would speak for itself, it would get noticed, and it'll automatically be rewarded. But I think showcasing our achievements is so crucial for career growth, and probably women are not so good at that. At least I know I've not been good at it, and I've seen many that are not. So I think we should learn to apply for these stretch roles, delegate, outsource, not do it all, and try to make time for career growth and learn to advocate for ourselves.
Oh, another fantastic answer. They're all tying together. I absolutely love that. We're right over the 10-minute mark, but I do want to give you a chance to answer one of my favorite questions, and that would be some advice on protecting or creating that work-life balance.
I'll give you a quick answer. I would like to call it work life harmony. And I try to accommodate everything as much as possible. For me, personal, family, and work commitments, they're all important. Exercise and personal growth is a non negotiable for me every day. So I get it out of the way very first thing in the morning. And I listen to podcasts along the way. So I combine personal growth with exercise together. Family is a priority. So I make every effort to not dip into my family time. I take a break when my daughter comes home and then jump back into work when she's doing homework. And when we go on vacations, no laptops, no work calls policy applies. And then I always go with, I would be nothing without a to-do list. So I have a work to-do list and a personal to-do list with deadlines. Otherwise, I would get nothing done. So I think with all the tools that we have available, it's become much, much easier to create that work-life harmony. So we just have to be intentional about it.
Akila, it was so nice getting to know you. I can't wait to even continue this and get to know you even more. Thank you so much for allowing us to celebrate you as our Woman of the Week.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate talking to you, Jackie.
All right, community members, please comment, share your tips and insights with Akila, and just join me in celebrating her this week. Until next time, happy Wednesday.